Supersonic. Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. And today in Innovate Island land, we welcome Cristiano Zanin. Now, Cristiano, please tell me if I haven't said your name correctly, but it's in the interest of cultural awareness. And I met Cristiano at the recent Impact event that I know we were talking about at length last week. And Cristiano is a great new addition to our Innovate Island community and comes to us from Brazil, has recently this year moved to Ireland and has settled himself in County Kildare. And Cristiano was also anxious to kind of lean into the innovation community here because from Brazil, he was embedded in an innovation ecosystem in the south of Brazil, and my geography isn't supersonic, so Cristiano will tell us about that. But equally was the orchestrator, connector, whatever you want to call the fueled by coffee, the interconnector between a lot of the quadruple helix players in the ecosystem. And I know that we have had extensive conversations in this forum and others about how we want to make the ecosystem work better in Ireland with the resources that we have and the investment that we've made. Equally, Cristiano has also started on an entrepreneurship program via our existing ecosystem. So he has a outsider's view of getting stuck into the innovation ecosystem in Ireland. So I think there's a valuable conversation to be had, what we can learn, what we can emulate, what we need to do, and likewise how we can partner maybe further afield with our Brazilian compadres. So Cristiano, you're very welcome. Thank you for your insights and your contribution. This is a very informal session. You know, you give your outlay what you want to talk about, but really the depth in the conversation is in the Q&A and, you know, round the corner questions. So with no further delay, I'm going to hand over to you, and perhaps you'll let us know what we need to know about Brazilian innovation ecosystems.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, Catherine. No, thank you. I'm very, very honored to be a part of this community, and also to be invited to share this knowledge and experience, because I think, as someone that understand the idea of innovation ecosystem, it's all about collaborate, right, and learning about the different ideas and thoughts. And I prepared some presentation. And I hope really be brief and in an overview about our what we did in Brazil as a general, but of course deepen in the south at my main experience, and in 15-20 minutes. So this way, after we can really chat, and then you about what I present here, you can do questions about what you think that's more interest and make more sense to really exchange, So let me just open here. But thank you for the invitation, and let me share the so here. So okay, I think it's for you. I'm not seeing you anymore, but I'm seeing here the.
Yep, that's all good.
Are you seeing the slides, right? So the thought that I put here was innovation ecosystem in Brazil, from pioneers to systemic models. It's the last 20 years, how the things happen. We are here in my state, is here in the bottom, in the southern state. We have border with Argentina and Uruguay. And but as you know, so who I am, in the last, I'm very entrepreneur. I discovered myself as entrepreneur some 10 or 12 years ago when I did I invest in some hostels. But my life started with innovation since that I had an edtech in 18. And during the last 5 years, I worked in projects for the State Secretary of Science and Innovation of our state, and for the local innovation in the region that I was living in the last years, and for the city town hall as well, you know, like really being the articulation person to help the quadruple helix merge and converge efforts in projects. So as you know, Brazil, it's a continental country. You have like, it's very big. We have more than 200 million inhabitants and more than 5,000 cities, you know, so it has a lot to explore, and many vocations that the vision, like the idea about ecosystem is making so many sense once that it's better, you know, like clusterize the ideas and the projects. And so what I brought here is like the early pioneers. So in the beginnings of 2000, I brought like the most powerful and what's best recognized in our country as innovation ecosystem. So Porto Digital as digital port in Recife, that's in Northeast. They really started with the idea about territory, you know, like, so it was the government, the city government that decided driving the policy and allocated, you know, like buildings and some projects to really foster, you know, like new companies and startups and everything else. And other one in the bottom, in our state, in Porto Alegre, that's the capital of our state, Rio Grande do Sul, Tecnopuc. PUC, it's one of the biggest universities, and they built a tech park in 2003 together with IBM, Dell, and HP. So it really was to boost, you know, like as the university, as the academy, as an anchor. And the example that I put here, that's Pacto Alegre, it's because years later, together with other two big universities, they found this Pacto Alegre idea that was really to show that, you know, like the three universities, they being competitors for the students, you know, like they knew that they have to be together to show to the ecosystem that, you know, like it's with collaboration that you can, you know, like be worried and be concerned with projects that can develop the region. This is the first insight that I bring with this, you know, like that even that private sector blames that, you know, like the government and the academy sometimes is a little bit slow or too bureaucratic. For us, they were the responsible to really boost the ecosystem idea, you know, like really bringing from theory to practice what we could better develop as a quadruple helix thing. So the turning point to really became more tangible, it was like around 15. Santa Catarina state did the ACAT. It's an association of pretty much as Ireland did, you know, like ACAT did, was because with Santa Catarina, Santa Catarina did with ACAT. So the state of Santa Catarina helped this association of technology fostering, you know, like giving better tax discounts, and really because and this is a good tip for you all that want to go to Brazil. Santa Catarina, it's a very beautiful state. The capital is an island. So the island, they realized that, you know, like how we can grow up if you don't have more space, and they invest in tech companies and creative economy. And so this also gives the Bridge of Innovation book that was all the document about how they were dealing since the 2000s so far, really having a better structure governance. And what brings us to our state in 2019, that's RS, is Rio Grande do Sul. And the innovation program that we create was really, put the separate the state in 8 regional ecosystem, and then formalize the governance. This was my first experience because I was hired to be the innovation ecosystem manager in one of these regional ecosystems, to really be someone isonomic and neutral, and help to articulate the quadruple helix and foster the culture of innovation, really trying to defeat the barriers that, sometimes different universities or the private sector was afraid about, discuss on the same table. So this is our state, the southern state in Brazil, and as to compare with the Ireland is pretty much good, because we have just the double size as a territory, and the double size of inhabitants as well. So it's we have the winter as well, so cold as here. Maybe not so windy, but it's more similar in so many ways. And we are, even that we are in the south and we are not the biggest state, we are very representative in a whole history of Brazil for many reasons. In the city that I came from, so Porto Alegre is the capital, is 1.5 million people, and Lajeado, it's the city where I came from. It's 1 hour from the capital, and it's a small territory city. It's just 92 square meters. But we have better quality of life rankings and GDP compared in this state and compared of Brazil average. So deepen, what we did in Lajeado, that the name of our ecosystem was Promove, but of course it's the same meaning in English. That's pro-move. It's what's about, let's move the thing. I really like this picture because it was the first action that we did to show to the world. This was in the South Summit event, the first one outside of Spain. That's an international event about the innovation. And so Promove is the name of the ecosystem that. But it's important to bring here that since they decided organize as an ecosystem, the structure was always do meetings and events and gathering, really bringing everyone, for all the quadruple helix, was not just about academy or government, or big companies. The community representatives or entrepreneurs, who was starting a business, every people was a small business, or students interested in new stuff. They were invited to participate, and this is just 3 pictures here, but we had a lot during 2 years, a lot of events and gathering things to really show that this project was starting as an innovation and was made a diagnosis that that took her of this idea. Like we had Promove has a strategic annual conference to have the decisions about what we want to, and then operational level where the volunteers and clusters were aligned with the priorities decided in the conference. And we clusterize, like we in the beginning were just 3 groups of food, beverage, health, and ITC that we decided was important markets to develop in the city, that was the vocation of the region, and have to do with the tendency of the market. And AION here, that's the local innovation agents. It was the agents responsible to orchestrate and do the governance about everything being isonomic. It was my second experience, like after the government, I started to work with the innovation agents and to monitoring and what is happening and sorry here that I didn't translate it, just took the data. But this shows, like Alimentos is food and beverage, how this was more aligned, and with the time was growing up in a really good way, like a really convergence, difference from information technology. Yeah. So this was, it's very visual how the cluster, it's something important, because if you are speaking in innovation, sometimes people don't engage because we are not talking about their business. It's too much generic. And once that we are participating, like the monthly, the groups, the cluster groups was had monthly meetings. So this we could really monitoring and understand that, like each sector has their own identity. And so from all this bigger vision from the strategic plan, and then from the groups, we had so many initiatives and events that's, like it's under umbrella, like here it's just a part of it. But like all of them, Labila, it's the government hub. Promove, Acelera, it's the acceleration program from the government, from the city government, with money from national funding. The TI thing, it's from the university. The VIB, it's a private hub of health. So the thing is that even that was, all these things has their own owners, like public, or they all were Promove. They all were under the umbrella, about all they have the stamp of Promove. So for the participants, it looks like was all Promove, but but the sponsor or whoever were doing the initiative was without, didn't have the ownership thing, because he shared to understand, to people understand that was that event or that program, or like was a part of a bigger thing. I think this is very important for us. So we in 22 that we was awarded for the first time as the biggest, the best innovation ecosystem in Brazil. We did this action in the South Summit, that we put a car and with screens around, and we took people to, because this was in another city, and the idea was how we show our city to people from, like for all the country, and even international participants in South Summit, and we had more than 1,000 people, you know, like driving around Lajeado without being there, you know, like just using technology, and they have like different paths to driveways to choosing, you know, like if they want to one theme or another one. And we did the same in Gramado Summit. That's another national event, like very big, about innovation. So it was always showing not just for our city, but also to in other regions what we were doing and why we had the prize. This is like I put here like I think 5 projects that was more important, you know, as a structure. So the agency to be responsible for the governance, the lab to be a hub, like a really tangible and a place where was made it to be like the physical representation. The innovation trails, and for me this was the most important project to broaden the idea, because the innovation trails was education of IT and robotics for public students in 9th grade, like so 14, 15 years old. And this is something that I always say, you know, because we are here talking about innovation and innovation ecosystem, but how we are fostering this mindset for those that will be in their labor market, or, you know, like the human capital in the next 3-4 years, you know, like how we are fostering the innovation culture for who is still studying in the high school or something, because here they are the ones that are coming, you know, to use all this system that we are developing and improving. The acceleration that, you know, like it's very much important to help the startups. And the last one, I was responsible during my time at the city town hall, that was innovation for public employees, that we know that's challenging in every place as well, because I already had some experiences here as well, you know, like all public employees, sometimes they are not worried about, but once that they are in the public sector, it's really important that they help this view as well. So yeah, the agents, that was the orchestrating system for the quadruple helix. The lab where happened the things, it was, you know, like and was open. Any gathering meeting that has the STEM Promove could use this space free of charge, because was one way to help foster the culture. The innovation trails with the young people, you know, like was of course about robotics and IoT, but we put information about the ecosystem, you know, like an open innovation and collaboration in business, entrepreneurship, these things. The acceleration program fostered by the municipality, yeah, and the public employees. So you can see that all of them have different people, but, you know, like always in all of them was different, the ownership, but always part as Promoving. And this took us to be awarded twice, you know, in 22 and 23 with the innovation. And who does this award is the National Association of Industry. So it's really the market saying, you know, that we must look at the innovation for the importance of the innovation ecosystem. This is our mayor. It was, it now changed last year, but he was really a guy that fostering the innovation in the city. And this slide shows like this. It was how the innovation ecosystem is evaluated in this award. So it's 8 key things, and each one has 4 items. And basically, what we have to do is we have to, for each item, we have to give us a note, a grade, and we have for 3,000 character, 3,000 words to describe why the grade we give, and we have to add pictures, documentation, news, and whatever that can prove the justifying that we are giving, you know, for all these items. So when I was responsible to do the submission for the award, I gathered around 2,000 documents to prove that all these 32 points we were doing the best. And to conclude here, this is the picture. This is a picture of the launching of Promove in 2019, and I really liked because it's about community, it's about people. You know, like this is the bigger theater in the city, and we're invited everyone. You know, like and was full. Really to since the first moment. Help this culture and information about how important is to everyone the convergence of efforts, you know. Yeah, so far. So this was
Wow.
fast and brief history and deepen, because I really want to give moment and space to, you know, like to this exchange and doubts and curiosities. But I hope this shows a little bit about, you know, like how Brazil is doing, and in South, how we really did in the last 5 years about it.
Thank you, Cristiano. And wow, there's a lot achieved in a very short, relatively short speed. Or short period of time rather, and I'm sure also during COVID and all of that sort of stuff, it was tricky to try to make those convergence events happen. So well done. If I may start, there's a role that you played, if I remember correctly, as this independent broker. Was that because of an acknowledgement that people can kind of tend to work in their silos? And was the funding for that from that overarching governance model?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, good that you mentioned, because I wrote an article. I have to translate it because it was exactly this. I wrote about the program and was gatekeepers and brokers, you know, like how the government really funded this to have was 3 people for each one of the 8 regions, and they were exactly, it was independent, even that was funded by the government. The position was be isonomic and neutral, really to help the quadruple helix connect.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it by persuasion or coercion?
Was persuasion, you know, because the thing, of course, I think FOMO was something that was happening, you know, because once that, you know, like this, and at least for the region that I was, they was very strategic in the funding, because they paid, the program was paid through a university, and they choose it a smaller university, not the biggest one.
Okay.
So because was the smaller university running the program, the two bigger one didn't want to be outside it, you know. And then, and the same with the companies, you know, they fostered some like medium term stuff, you know, to say that, you know, like, okay, the bigger already have the capital and the mind. So,
Yeah.
you know, like, but once that the FOMO, oh, I'm not going to be out of this, you know,
Yeah.
like if the another one is participating. And I left the region that I was part of. It was the central region that I came from there before. Lajeado and Porto Alegre. I lived in Santa Maria. That's in the middle of the state, and it was after they really invested in creative economy. Yeah, so it was very good.
Interesting that we can learn a lot of opportunity that we can learn. Anybody got a question? But I certainly love the idea that everybody had free access to all of that facility, because that is not something that we actively have here. Charlie, you're first up with your hand.
Yeah, Cristiano, thank you so much for that. It's always interesting to see what's happening elsewhere, but that was extremely interesting. And Catherine, I think, has just answered the question I was going to ask everybody, so I'll ask that first and then ask another one. But do we have anything like this in Ireland or Northern Ireland, where there is somewhere you can just book and use without having to pay for it? I'm not aware of anything like that, no. And even the government-funded ones, you still have to become a member. You pay for membership or you pay for the room. So it's a big obstacle. So I have the answer to that one already. I take it this university was in one of the cities. It was central, or Cristiano? Yeah. So did that make it something that the people in the city used, or were you able to get people from across the region? The whole region involved in it? Yeah.
So the thing in the lab that we used to do, the lab was from the city, from government, from the government, and basically what we did was like, if you want to do something for entrepreneurship or innovation, and you're gonna put the stamp of the innovation ecosystem to bring the community, or with this, you know, like, of course it's the name of your event, you know, like it's your public, but that's okay. But once that, you know, like it have a relation with, you know, like, okay, this will help entrepreneurship or innovation, yes. So yeah, you can just book and do the thing, because this helps, as we mentioned, you know, like have the umbrella, and understand that have different initiatives that's connected to.
Okay, yeah, because we always have to beg, steal, and borrow a space, or rely on a favor, or it's never that easy to just find somewhere to do this kind of thing.
And thing is that because after it was recognized, this give another result, you know, like, so other spaces was open to do the same. For example, Vibe Hub, it's a health hub acceleration program from a big health corporation in Brazil. It's a cooperative called Image, and they did this hub for innovation in health system. And so if for some reason our space was already locked, but someone wants to do, and you know, like, oh, since that's to do for Promove, they okay, yeah, you can use here as well. And was a couple of other spaces they were open to, since that okay, if you're doing this to Promove, that's okay, it's authorized.
Right, so, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Paul, you're next with your hand up.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Cristiano, for the presentation. It was really, really nice to hear about your experience. So Catherine mentioned at the beginning that you are after entering into sort of an entrepreneurial program in Ireland, I believe. And given your prior experience sort of being on the other side of the table in a Brazilian context and bringing an outside perspective to sort of the ecosystem within Ireland, what are you noticing your biggest hurdles when you're coming into that ecosystem here in Ireland?
So here, well, of course, you know, because I had this this background since that I arrived here, I start to, in this way that I found the impact event and everything else, and I start to, you know, like I found further and merits and some actors, and but two things I think can was happened that, you know, like I could understand that sometimes, and I mentioned this in another meeting here, sometimes, you know, like the bureaucracy, it's the same. We change the country, but you know, and so I think as someone that came with the specific, you know, like I came with the idea to entrepreneur here and connect with the ecosystem, to really like to start small. Maybe for big companies is okay, but as an individual, you know, like I'm finding some barriers. And the first one was the bureaucracy. So I wrote to every tech park in Dublin. You know, like I wrote to all of them, to UCD, DCU, Trinity, all of them, and I just and I didn't receive any answer. You know, like I said, oh, I have a startup, you know, about this and that, and it's AI, and I want to know how which the programs about incubating the tech park, you know, and any answer at all. And in the with Leo office, okay, fortunately I'm at NAS, but because I was very persistent. But you know, like the pre-tech acceleration, I did the submission for 2 programs, and they called me from Kildare saying, "Oh no, but your address is from Dublin." And then I said, "Yeah, but it's my residential address. I'm not sure. I want to establish a business, but I'm studying where I will put this business. You know, like if another city, if some city have an incentive or a program, or you know, like I'm able to start understanding that. No, sorry, your address is from Dublin, so you have to go in Leo, Dublin."
Yeah.
You know, it's so persistent. You know, like then I think that the coordinator, that's a third part, she understood that, and then she said, "Okay, come." But I think like she did by herself, because so far my name is not on the list. All the time that I have signed my presence, I have to put in the bottle, you know. So maybe officially I'm not doing this. I'm doing it because I'm picky and I'm trying it. So I think like as okay, you have in Ireland programs, but I don't know how much is really open to foster the entrepreneurship. You know, like I think this is the first barriers and things that I'm identifying.
Mm-hmm.
That for us in the beginning was the same. You know, like this that I told you about, be open, was the evolution, because we as a government, we did first you know, and then reopen the house, and then the others, private, thought, okay, yeah, maybe we have to do the same because it's working. And it's something that I mentioned before, you know, like was kind of the opposite, you know, like even that sometimes the private sector blames, oh, but you know, it was the academy and the government that did some movements to really, okay, we have to sit in the same table, we have to, and we're gonna pay someone to, you know, like understand, because, you know, like in the quadruple helix, each sector has their own interest and expectation, and that's fine, but must have someone being the balance, you know, like, oh, please, you know, like this is for all of us, you know, so take your name from, be a sponsor, not the owner, and let's put, so this one, everyone is, you know, and this kind of thing of ego system, it starts to really go a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay. Bill, you had a question for Cristiano.
Yeah. First of all, Cristiano, thanks very much for an absolutely excellent and informative presentation. It's mind-boggling. The question that I had, which I'll ask anyway, kind of paid insignificance after your response to Paul's question, because you're after opening up a whole huge can of worms. I hope you understand that phrase. But my question is, okay, what is the sustainability of the model that you presented to us, in the sense that how long is the government going to keep on supporting this? Is there a finite period of time where it's got to become self-financing, or what?
Okay, good, great question. Thank you, William. So the thing, in the city basis, what we did is that when we launched the agency was funded by the triple helix, was government, the university, and 5 companies. They paid for the first year. And when we fund in the document, it was that in 3 years must be self-funded. Otherwise, it should finish. You know, like as something to be really challenging. You know, like to just don't be other association with that must be money from the government. You know, and what happened is that we grew up as companies funding, and the thing is we help. One of the things that the agency does with the innovation analyst, they help the companies to with innovation projects as a private or for fundings. And so this way the companies understand that they are with some gain, and they keep putting money back because they earn as well with this service. And so last year before I came, I remember that we did the report, and the cost for the agents was like for each real for one money, the agents brought back 8.
Wow.
So yeah, so we could, like, between like sales for the companies and other fundings, and you know, like we put all the things, we could measure that the agents give back 8 million or something like that during a year. So it was really objective number, because and was in the 3rd year. what was great, because this way you could really understand that should be, but but even with this result, we understand that the university and the city must be continuing put money. But for the state, this program it's inside the programs. All the innovation programs is inside the innovation secretary, and basically what they do is the same. It's how much they are developing innovation with the clusters in the state, and what they are attracting to the state, because as a state we were really going down, and but we did this.
Cristiano, can I ask, and Suzanne, then I'll bring you in. Can I ask then as a follow-on question, are they measuring like a vitality index of net new income because of innovation, or new entrepreneurs created or new companies created that then in turn are paying taxation into the economy?
So it was the both, was okay for the companies that exist, like what they are doing new, and what this represents, but also what new entrepreneurs and new business are starting.
Okay, great.
And
Thank you.
And of course, like linking with events, like for example, the acceleration, the Promove Accelera, had one company that after participate for other acceleration, and then after was sold for 14 million. So we know that like the ecosystem was present in the journey.
Okay. And can you draw a straight line between the impact of the ecosystem and the sale?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great. Suzanne, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Cristiano, for a great presentation. It was really interesting. I was just wondering, in Brazil, in terms of your innovation secretary and your government, are they very aligned, or are they aware of the ISO standard, the 56,000 innovation series, and do they work through it, or in Brazil at all?
Sorry, it blocked a little bit.
Okay, so I was just wondering if your government, you talked about an innovation secretary and your government. I was wondering, does your government work in alignment to ISO standards for innovation? Are they familiar with it? Like, is it implemented in Brazil, or is it something that's not really adopted there?
No, it's something no, it's a part of it. Yeah.
It's a part of it.
Yeah.
So, like we have, for example, Cape Town was the first city to get ISO 9001 certified, I believe, this year. And there's lots of very interesting best practices and shared ecosystems approaches. And even SIGs, I believe, now that are being established for that. Charlie, you could probably talk about that more, but they were talking about it in Norway at the ISLIM event, and they will be talking about it again in Japan in December. It's becoming really big ecosystems approach for cities, and there's very clear metrics and, frameworks and everything that they're working to, and performance evaluation, but all in alignment to the ISO standard. So I was just wondering if that was the case also in Brazil.
No, interesting. Yeah.
No,
because no, they are part of it. Yeah, we use ISO for lots of things, but in innovation, as far as I know, we never use it.
I think just because it's sector agnostic, it's such an exciting space. That governments, the penny hasn't quite dropped how important and valuable it is to a government. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, though. It was good to know about the adoption piece in Brazil. Thank you.
I think and Charlie and Owen, there were certainly Brazilian reps on the innovation management standard, if memory serves. And there's now, there you go, development of 56,001 development was Brazilian. And then secondly, there is also a standard being developed for innovation ecosystems, which is and Mark McAleer is leading out in that capacity. And again, jump in, Owen or Charlie, if I have that wrong. And Mark is based in Belfast, but he's part of the national the National Standards Agency here.
Yeah.
Some of us who are on that committee and working through various standards. Charlie is coming as the global convener of the one on innovation competency. So there's a huge opportunity. Oh, Paul, now what's the one you're on? Remind me.
Portfolio management.
Portfolio management. So there's a lot of ISO work being done, and we'll all use this forum to keep, contributions to that work ongoing. And equally, there will be an upcoming event soon where we hope to get further input on the competency framework, which is in an active, it's beyond draft. What stage are we at now, Charlie? I don't understand all the steps.
It's a committee draft at the moment, and it's going through a committee consultation phase for feedback. Then in April, it will go out for public consultation. So, but we're keen to do some work on it before it actually goes out to public consultation under the banner of the National Standards Body Technical Committee.
Yeah, so we'll be keeping this group informed, certainly on that form. Bill, can I ask you a question? Because actually, Cristiano, had you known, Bill is also on the committee of an enterprise and innovation center in the southeast. Am I right, Bill?
Yes, I'm on two of them actually. Yes.
Oh, two.
Not just one. Why only one? Just two.
Well, exactly. For ask a busy person. And can I ask a question then, just from our own understanding? If somebody wants to go and use that resource, they have to book it or pay for it or whatever. Is that because the funding streams mean that every institution has to have its own kind of stand on its own 2 feet model?
Yes, that there would be, there are people in each of those centres, even in the ones that Cristiano mentioned in Dublin, where individuals would be quite happy to have free access, etc. But they're individuals that are probably running the centre, and they are interested in achieving a basis for innovation and entrepreneurship. There's a thing behind them called the organisation, and unfortunately there's a thing within the organisation called the finance department, and they get upset, if they don't see some returns coming in for the work that's being done. And so it's rather alien, the types of things that Cristiano was saying, in the sense that in Ireland, even though we're considered to be a totally outgoing, friendly nation, etc., right? When it comes to something like this, there's always somebody looking for their pound of flesh. So unfortunately, the system just interferes with what people would like to happen.
But with an ROI of 8-to-1, there's a case to be made to make it different.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we need people to take a chance, right? Like what they did there in Brazil. We need people to start and say, look, I'm going to do this. The government, like Enterprise Ireland, the IDA, etc., they need to say that, for a year or 2 years or 3 years, I'm going to do this, and find if it doesn't work, then we do something else. But not just the government agencies, also the technological universities and the university themselves, need to say, we're going to buy into this, and here's how we're going to buy into it.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree, Bill. And I know we're coming short for time, but Alan, it would be remiss of me not to bring you in here. You had a question.
It's actually just literally a build on what Bill was saying. To be fair, I think there's reflection here in terms of the people who are looking up front for cast iron guarantees and forms that you fill in order to access the help first, stifling the very thing that they're trying to create. Whereas if you just let it go and sort of say, look, let's take a punt on, 10 businesses and let's see how many of them, it's like venture investing or something, you'll have a lot of failures, but like any other thing, or innovation portfolios will have failures, but the successes of the portfolio will more than cover the losses.
Mhm.
So, when you get out of the way of the stuff happening and streamline access to funds. Now, I understand from the risk averse nature of, like, I was on a call with the earlier on today webinar from the Central Bank of Ireland, and just even the risk aversion was kind of coming out of the screen at me. There's just so much red tape involved in spending public funds on anything in this part of the world. So I kind of get it. It's not that people want to be mean or that they're being idiots,
No.
but there's just constraints.
Yeah.
But it's amazing what happens when you take any kind of an example and get rid of the constraints. I know they have similar kind of supports for startups, like the equivalents in Denmark of Dogpatch, we'll say, in Denmark and the Netherlands, where you just get paid to turn up and work on your startup, as opposed to having to jump through the hoops.
Yeah.
And great things happen when people are,
Freed.
when they let loose the constraints a little bit. So it's great to kind of hear another validating story of that, and maybe some sort of chink of light might break through at some point. It was great talk, Cristiano. I really enjoyed it.
And thank you, Cristiano. And we may be back to you for some very concrete examples, because we may use them for FOMO and shaming when we go to talk to our policy friends to see what we can do to change the situation. But folks, Mark asked me about what the ecosystem standard 50 should look like. 2 current references, a report from Sweden and 56,001. So maybe we should talk to, we go back and talk to ecosystems again at Impact. And Cristiano, we may be back to you exactly for your expertise and your direct experience from Brazil as to what effective looks like. Let's not call good, let's call it effective, because clearly with those type of metrics, it has been a very good success. But for today, folks, thank you very much for your time, your attention. Cristiano, we really appreciate your insights and even your preparation on the slides and everything. It's been really fantastic. The conversations continue. As you know, we're all quite passionate about making whatever we have work, and let's identify opportunities for future. But for today, thanks, folks. Have a lovely weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.